if a candidate that you wish to write this year WAEC Biology, so this video is for you. I may not be able to finish it on TikTok, but there will be a link that will link into my YouTube. So just link it, because this video is going to be long, because I need to touch both part A and part B of the specimen given for this year. These are the questions, and these are the specimen, and these are the likely questions that are going to come out in this year question under the biology. So the time will not permit me to finish everything today, but next day I'm going to do the part B after doing the part. So I want your attention to this. These are the specimen given. We are giving A to be beans with, then the specimen B is bean seed, and specimen C is water leaf plant. Then specimen D is cooling feather of a domestic fowl. Then we have specimen E that you need to prepare. Then pineapple fruit transfer section. Then I will explain the meaning of transfer and longitudinal. Then specimen F, orange fruit, which is also in transfer section. Then we have specimen G, raw egg of a domestic fowl. Then we also have specimen H, test tube containing 3 ml of water. Then we also have specimen J, which is longitudinal section of boiled egg. So this one we boil, but the other one is raw one. But what I will do today, you don't need any jotter. If you're a candidate, this will be your guide and your jotter. Once you can be able to study this video in depthly, there is no how you will not solve the work. I think I can bet with you 90% of the questions that will come out, I've already gone through it through many years to fabricate some questions so that we'll be able to do it. So we need to study it together. So if you are at home now, I want you to gather to get your pen, any of your writing material, and try to jot something down. You can also save this video for further research. So let me start from this one. So here, let me start from the specimen A. Specimen A is beans weevil. Now, is an insect. That particular specimen is an insect. So now, what they can likely ask under the word, they will ask the kingdom of this particular A. The kingdom is Animalia. So Animalia for this one. The kingdom is what? Is Animalia. Animalia. They can ask you. But the first thing they will ask you is identify. You must first of all know the specimen, the beans weevil. So now they will ask you kingdom. They cannot ask all what I want to tell you now. They will not ask outside it. So the kingdom is called to Animalia. That is. Then they can also ask you that what is a phylum it belongs to. So it belongs to Arthropoda. To phylum. The phylum, we all know this one. Arthropoda. Arthropoda, they can ask you. The phylum, which is Animalia, then the kingdom is Animalia, the phylum is Arthropoda. They can ask you. Then they can also ask you that what is the order. They can ask you, they can ask you order, they can also ask you the class. The class this particular A belong to. They will not call it beans weevil. They will not call it. They will only say specimen A. What the class of specimen A, which is Insecta. So the class is called Insecta. Insecta. That is the class. All what I'm telling you now, I want you to be attentive. So they will not ask more than this. So now, another one they can ask you under this, they can also ask you that the order. I've made mention of what? The kingdom. They have also made mention of what? The phylum. They have also made mention of the class that it belongs to, which is Insecta. They can also ask of order. The order the particular specimen A belong to order. The order is Coleoptera. The order is Coleoptera. Now, let me tell you one thing. You have to look at this spelling very well because spelling is very important. Any omission or you omit a letter is tantamount to 0. Because the word, your letter is very, very paramount in your word, in this particle. So look at the spelling. Coleoptera. That is the word, the order. So I made mention of this order. They may not even ask up to what I'm telling you now because I've painfully takes almost 10 years practical under biology, check and balance. So now, after that, if they don't ask this thing, they can also ask for family, the family in which particular specimen A belong to. Now the family, under the family, that is why I'm writing it so that you not miss the spelling. You can check and check back to get the spelling. So the spelling we have, the order. Under order this, then we also have what? The family. It belongs to some leader. That is the what? The family. Let me write it so that you'll be able to get the spelling very well. That is the spelling. So try to get this spelling very well. So the family is some leader. That is the family that it belongs to. Then they can also ask you the genus. The genus it belongs to. These are the things they can ask. So before, look at the spelling very well. These are the things they can ask you under that. They can ask you this. They can also ask you the genus. So the genus of this particular family is Acanthocida. Acanthoceliad. So this is the spelling. Acanthoceliide. So Acanthocida. So that is the genus of this particular specimen. So they can also ask you the species. You see Acanthocida, but Optectus. So the what? The species. So they can ask you the species. So Acanthocedis, the Optectus. So this is the same spelling, but you just put Optectus for the species. So these are the things they can ask you about the specimen for A. Specimen A, which is being weaved. Now, apart from this, you all know that it only affects about that particular the weaving. It affects what? It affects the beans. It can cause holes inside it by putting larva. So the larva inside the beans, by trying to come out from that beans, it will cause holes. That is why you see holes in some of the beans. Like later, before I finish this video, I will tell you how you can prevent the larva. So one of these is the beans weaver is a small beetle that infects the stored leguminous seed. Leguminous feed is those feed that contain like protein. So like beans, example is me. Then it pops holes into the seed to lay egg, and then larva feed on the seed. So you can go and then what are the questions? They can ask you this likely question. They can ask you this likely question here. The one that contain botanica, I will write it here. I will write the one that contain botanica here. So if you cannot get, but just try to, if you are missing, just play this one over and over before the exam. So there is you don't need to read further. So now, if you look at this question, The first question I have here, which I have planned for you. So question 1 said that identify the specimen. We all know, identify. They will just put specimen A. You are the one to identify, which you all know that is what? Is beans weevil. The beans weevil. So that is the specimen. So another one, they can even ask you that which is belong to Acanthocedi optitus. You can write it, but it's better to, if you cannot get the spelling, which I've already given you that. Optitus. So either you call it what? Beans weevil or Acanthocedi optitus. Either of the two. This is the spelling. But if you can't spell this one, just use what? Beans weevil. So that is what you can do. So this is the first question they can ask you. The first question. What is common is there is no how they will not ask you to identify the specimen. So that one is a bonus mark for you. All this you have to identify the specimen is a bonus mark. They will ask you. Then what is the likely question? What is another likely question? They can say state the phallus and the classification of the specimen, which I've already stated. State the phallus and the class of specimen. You know, I said the phallus is Arthropoda. Arthropoda is the phallus, and the class is called Insecta. The class is Insecta, which I don't need to write it again. The phallum, which they can ask you, is called what? Arthropoda. Why the one? The class. The class is called Insecta. So this is the what they can ask you. So that one, they can ask you that one. Then let me give you another question, which they can also ask you. Let's take this as number 3. They can say mention one economical importance of the specimen. Mention one economical importance of the specimen. We know what this thing does. Beans weevil. You know what it does. Then it destroys beans by boring holes and feeding on them. So it will destroy. So the major thing that it does, it will to cause havoc by causing holes into the beans. That is one of the economical importance of the particular specimen A. I can also give you that it can also be what felt by poultry farm. Poultry in the poultry by fowl. So this is one of the what to give a poultry animal protein. So this is one of the economical importance of what. So meaning that the poultry animal can fail on that. So I just added that one so that it can be part of it. So then they can also say name one observable feature that aids the specimen in boring this seed. So now it has teeth called mandible. So the teeth can break with the aid of that strong teeth, which is called mandible. So that is one of the feature in that can be able to be adaptive for what? For causing holes inside the what? Inside the beans, which is called mandible. That is what they can add. So let me write the spelling so that you will not miss it. It's a mouthpiece. We call it mandible. So check this out. Mandible is a kind of teeth that they can use to destroy that particular. It's part of mouth part in that particular specimen A. Now, apart from that, they can also ask you that what type of metamorphosis does it undergo? What type of metamorphosis? When we say is a mode of reproduction. That is what we call metamorphosis. We have two types of metamorphosis: complete and incomplete metamorphosis. But this one is a complete metamorphosis because it will go into larva and grow into adult. But incomplete will not pass through larva. Is that taken? So as a result of that, it's called incomplete metamorphosis. So the one that the particular specimen A undergo is called complete, because it will pass all through the stages. So it is called complete metamorphosis. So these are the things they can ask. So let's go to the next one. The next one now. But I will still draw that one before I finish this video. I will drop the what? I will draw the diagram so that we can follow. Now let me tell you one thing about that fire, because immediately I remember something. I have to say it. Is that okay? All this particular specimen, if you get this one, there is no how you will not get A1 in your. Now all this, try to know how to draw, because maximum they will ask you to draw 2, if not 3. Prepare for 2, but why am I saying you don't know where the question may come from? They can say draw A, draw B, draw C. So try to know how to draw all these specimens at your comfort zone. So now let's now move to specimen B now. Specimen B, I think I've cleaned it, but let me check it here if I have it. Specimen B. Specimen B is called bean seed. Bean seed, which means the seed of the beans. Seed. That is specimen B. Is seen. Now, you all know it's a leguminous plant. We all know. Now, let me now tell you some of the features of the specimen B now. The seed that you. So now, the kingdom, let me tell you now, animal, human being. If you want to try to grab it, animal, but plant, you remember, which it belongs to what kingdom of planter. So that is the kingdom. Let me write it there. So anything like plant. So anything like animal is what? Animalia. So now the kingdom, if they ask you, the kingdom that is belong to, is called what? It's called planter. That is, so it sounds like plants. So anything that you see that something like plants, that they all belong to this, anything that plant. So when I was secondary school, that was why I grabbed all these things. Animalia, animal. But anything that a plant is called plantae. So that is what. So since they spell it very well. So now they can also ask you on this one. They can ask you that you study what? You should study the phallum. The phallum. They can ask you to study the phallum. Phallum. What phallum it belongs to? Then we have for magnolipophyte. Magnolipophyte. Just like Phylophyta, angiosperm, like that. But this one is what? Is the what? Phallum is called to magnolipophyte. That is the phallum of that particular animal. That particular plant. So try to get the spelling. Magnoliop, then phyte, Phyta. So that is the what? So magnoliophyte, fighter. So magnoliophyta. So that is the spelling that it belongs to. Then they can also ask you that what? The class. The class also sound like the same thing. The class. These are the things they can ask you. The class. So they can ask you the class of the animal. So it also sounds as the same thing, that the class is magnoliop. So instead of fighter, so instead of we have cedar. So the same spelling. This is Magno, magnoliop, cedar. Just like the spelling of cedar acuta. You all know cedar weed, which is called cedar acuta. But you plant cedar. So magnoliop, cedar, magnoliop, cedar. But the other one is magnoliop, fighter. For the, so the class is magnoliop, cedar. So now they can also ask you under this one. They can say order. They can ask you of order. Order of the what? Of the plants. Because it belongs to plantia. So the order they can ask of the order. The order is Fabaceae. Fabaceae is the order. So order in which the plant, which is called bean seed, belong to. They can also ask you that. Then the family, they can also ask you for the family. Family is belong to. Family is, so the family is Fabaceae, which is called spell it very well, Fabaceae, the E. Is that taken? So you have to be mindful of the spelling. Just write it and study over and over. They may not even ask of up to that length, but we need to prepare for the worst. So now, so that you leave all stone untouched. So now, then the botanical name, they can ask of the botanical name, because most of these plants normally contain botanical name like Cedar acuta, Thallium triangulare, Amaranthus, all these botanical names. Sapendicis, Amaranthus sapendicis. There are many botanical names of plants. So I just made mention of small out of the botanical name. We have more than 1,000 botanical, even more than 10,000 botanical names. So now, let's now talk about this botanical name, Phaseolus vagira. So that is botanical name. Botanical name. So we have botanical name that we can also say, because they can ask botanical name. Phaseolus, then fugaris. Phaseolus fugari. That is if they ask of the botanical name of that beans. That is the Phaseolus fugaris. That is the botanical name. So I don't think they can have something else like this. Let's see. Then they can also it is that what animal that can attack. We all know, I've mentioned it far, which is called beans weevil. Beans weevil can affect it. So that is what they can ask. And by the time it affects it, it will reduce the nutritional benefit and growth of that particular seed. That is what it does. By the time you attack it, it will reduce the nutritional benefit of that particular specimen, which is the specimen B. Then it can also reduce the production of that particular germination. Let me use the word germination of that particular specimen, which is called bean seed. So now, I think they may not have something more than that, which question I've prepared for this. Then let me see what they can ask. So they cannot ask more than that under that particular specimen. So now, let me now create some questions that ask, which they can ask you inside. So which I prepare based on the past question and based on my discretion, that what and what they can ask. What and what they can ask. Now, let me see that this question they can ask. They can say, name the organism responsible for the host in the seed. I don't need to answer that one. You should know that one is what is beans weevil. Is bean weevil. That they get the question right. They say name the organism that is organism that responsible for the host inside the beans that you normally see. So it's called beans weevil. So, or we call it Acanthosidis obtectus. So let me write it in botanical name. But if you don't know how to spell that one, either you call it, the answer is for that is called to beans weevil, or you can call it the scientific name, which is called Acanthosidis obtectus. So any answer you like. If you know that you cannot write this one, just say beans or you call it Acanthosidis obtectus. So either you write it like this, beans weevil or Acanthosidis obtectus. Either of the one you like. Don't show yourself. Don't show your skills too much. If you know that one is this is all It's just a scientific name for this. So if you don't know this one, write this one so that you can. So now let me see what they can also ask you apart from this. Let's look at this question. You know, the first question, you know, I did not say identify the specimen on that this question, which they can say first that you should identify. Just that's why I don't put more pressure on identify. They will all say identify this particular specimen. So now, because I don't want to load the question too much, so let me remove identify. Let me start name the organism responsible for the host in the seed. So we have answered that one now. Then we can have this. Let's look at this example. What is the likely effect of the host on the germination? What is likely effect of the host on the germination? Now, then it prevent what? Germination. When you have removed some part of the what? See. So the question says that it reduce or prevent germination. It can either reduce or prevent. So if it damages to some more extent, it will not germinate at all. That's why I use it reduce. You can say it reduce or prevent. If the question demand that what is the effect of that, it can reduce or also prevent germination. So that is what we don't only say reduce. It is better for you in more palatable answer. You say it can reduce or prevent germination. But because sometimes if it damage to some extent, it will not germinate at all. But if it cause the effort is not that much, it can still germinate, but it can delay or reduce. So now, then the question that I can also prepare here is suggest 2 ways of preventing such infection. Suggest 2 ways of preventing such infestation. That is, how can we prevent it? You see some what? You all know, most of you know. You see some when you get it, you see holes inside. But the question is saying that how can we prevent such particular occurrence of that particular day? So how do we prevent it? That you suggest. Then the first thing is sun dry. Because when you sun dry, it will not allow such particular to cause havoc or to destroy particular specimen. Then tighten storage. That is, you prefer air inside. Then use of insecticide. But I will not because it is very, very dangerous for human consumption when you put insecticide. But it is also part of, you can also prove it. You can either hair dry or you prefer air by looking for air tighten storage that will not cause any air inside, or you put insecticide to prevent it. So which can likely cause earth damage. So now, then number 4, then I can also say identify the seed and give it class. I've said it several times. So identify the seed and give it class. So the seed is called bean seed. Bean seed. That is the question which I've answered now. Then the class, I've said it. I've even said, the first preparation I made is under that, which I call the class. The class that it belongs to. The class. The class is called It's called Magnolacida. So that is the class. Why you change this one to, if it is killer, you just change this one to fighter. The same spelling. Fighter. You change this one to fighter. When you put fire, you now pronounce it fighter. Fighter. So it will become Magnolacida for the class. So now look at this one now. They can also ask you that what is the dispersal method for the seed? Dispersal method for the disc. That is, so it can be dispersed by explosive mechanism. Explosive mechanism. So now we can also call it, if we don't want to call it explosive, we can call it dehiscent. We can also call it dehiscent. So that is the 2 way you can cause it. Then let's move to specimen C. Specimen C is water leaf. Now, then I need to talk about the what? The kingdom. If I ask you, it's also plant, which means it will be plantar. So the kingdom is what? I told you that anything that is planted. So that is what? That is the kingdom. Then they can also ask you to find the what? The phylum. The phylum. What is the phylum? The phylum of this recipe is the same thing as that one, which is called Magnoliophyta. So that is the phylum. So Magnoliophyta. That is the what? The phylum. Then the class is the same thing as what I just said. For the other one, cedar. Just change this one to cedar. That is fair. So if we give you the class will give you Magnoliophyta. Cedar. So that is just like the same thing as that particular. Then the order, they can ask you that the order of this particular. The order will be Caryophyllus. That is the order. So this is what? This is C. C out. Then the family. The family of this. What is the family? The family of this particular one. We give you the family. The family is Thalliaceae. So the family is Thalliaceae. Then the botanical name, I've said botanical name before, which is Thallium triangulare. So the botanical name. The botanical name is called thallium. The thallium, then just like the spelling of triangle, triangulare. So that is the botanical name. If they ask you, thallium triangulare. Then it contains vitamin, minerals. So that is, and it also contains water. The particular specimen contains a lot of water in. So let me now try to form some questions which they might likely ask you. Normally, they will ask you to identify the specimen and state its botanical name, which I've already explained. Look at the question that I gather from past question. So identify the specimen and state its botanical name. Then we all know that is what thallium triangulare. Then the another question which they can likely ask is mention 2 use of plant. Then we all know, everybody eat that one, is for eating, consumption. So then we can also use for traditional medicine. Some people use it to reduce blood pressure, and it also contains iron for those that don't have enough iron in the body. So that is, I've mentioned like 3 here now. Then they can also state the 2 adaptive for water retention. That what make water to retain in that particular animal. So we can say thick stick because it contains thick stem. Then also freshly leaf. So these are the adaptive features that can make it to retain water. Then they can also ask you that what class of plant does it belong to, which I've already mentioned. I don't need to just look at what I just said. Then what class of plant does it belong to? So well, either you call it Magnoliophyta, which I've already said, and another form. Let me say the 2 way. Cedar, or you can simply scale it dicotyledon. Either you call it the Magnificida or Dicotyledon, anyone you like. So take note of this. If you can't spell this one, you should be able to spell this one in your exam. So now, I think they cannot state more than this, or they say describe the type of venation in the word leaf, which is called reticulate venation. We call it reticulate venation. So this, then let's now move to queen feather, which is what? Which is number 4. This one. This is queen. You all know it's formed from the poultry animal. So now they can ask you for what? For the kingdom. You all know the kingdom that I told you before. I don't need to repeat myself. Animalia. Anything like it's animal. So just say animalia. So that is the kingdom. Then the phallus. I will just emphasize on phallus and get the spelling very right. So anything animal, just say animalia. Anything that look like plants, just say plantaina. So then we have what? We have the phallus. What is the phallus of this particular? Then we have chordata. Chordata. C-H-O-R-D-A-T-A. So that is the word. The phallus it belongs to. Then the class. The class it belongs to. The class it belongs to is apes. It belongs to apes. That is the class. So that is the bird. Let me give you some likely questions which they can ask under that. Apart from the explanation I just gave. So they can ask you that identify the specimen which is all known, the quill feather. That's what. Then they can also ask you that what is the function of the feather in the what? In the bird. What is the function? They aid flight. They use it for what? They use it for flight and also for insulator to keep heat. Is that taken? So these are the. So then look at this question away. They can also say name 2 parts of the feather. We have the what? We have the shaft and vein. The shaft and vein. Look at the feather like this. I will still draw it. This is what we call the shaft, and this area called vein. The shaft, or they call it ranchi. They can also call it ranchi. Let me write the shaft further. The shaft, and this particular is called vein. So these are the major parts in it. Then they can also, what class of animal has this feature? What class of animal? I've already said apes. There is still there. Then state the difference between quill feather and down feather. The quill feather is very strong, while the down feather is very soft. So in a short form. So now I think that one is off for that one. So let's move to specimens E. Specimen E. So we just finished that one. I will see if the time permits me, I will still going to explain further. So specimen E is pineapple. You all know pineapple. You know it contains vitamin C. If I ask you what kingdom it belongs to, it's a plant. So plantain. Is that taken? So I want you to grab anything so that you can be able to acclimatize with it. So now, then pineapple, then the kingdom is plantain, then phallus is the same thing as that one. So magnoliophyta. So the phallus is called magnoliophyta. So then they can ask you the class it belongs to. The class. So Liliocida. Then order. They can also ask you order. This is hoax. So these are the what. Then they can also ask you finally as what family it belongs to. The family it belongs to Bromeliaceae. Okay, they can also ask for the botanical name. They can ask you botanical name. What is the botanical name? We have Ananas cosmosus. So Ananas cosmosus. That is the botanical name of pineapple. Ananas cosmosus. So that is the botanical name of pineapple. So they can ask you likely question here. Now, prepare to draw. I'm suspecting they can ask you to draw the longitudinal section of pineapple. So now, let's look at this question and look at it together. They can ask you to identify the specimen. Now, that one is general. Then name the fruit type. Fruit type is called multiple fruit. The specimen is pineapple and the fruit type is called multiple fruits. So, get that one right. Now, another question they can ask you to name the flower part of the fruit. The flower part of which is ovary. The answer is ovary of the flower and surrounding tissue. Now they can also ask you, okay, look at this question. It's a question, it's not they can ask you. This question say botanical name, which I've already explained here, which is called ananas cosmosus. Then nutritional form in the fruit. We all know that pineapple contains vitamin C, the nutritional benefit of vitamin. Then the class of the plant it belongs to, I've explained that one. Either you call it Lilopsida or Monocotyledon. Either you call it Lilopsida or Monocotyledon as that. So now let's move to specimen E. Specimen E. Let's move to specimen E, which is called the orange. Specimen C. You know, orange also contains vitamin C. If I ask you what family is also plantae, that is the family it belongs to, because I've been explaining anything like plant. So the family, then we only need the phylum. The phylum it belongs to. The phylum is same thing as also Magnoliophyta. So check the spelling. So that is the word. The phylum. Then the class, just remove this thing and put cedar. So the class, just remove, I always tell you, so you say Magnoliophyta. Cedar, that is the class it belongs to. Then the order is Sapindalis. So that is the order which they can ask you to. Then they can ask you the genus, which is citrus. Citrus is the genus. As the word, then they can ask you the species. Species is also Citrus sinensis. Citrus, let me write that one, because species of that particular species is called the word Citrus sinensis. That is the species. So now, these are the likely questions they can ask you under this particular question. Then they ask you that what is the botanical name of the orange fruit? I've said that one, so I don't need to repeat it. Okay. They can also ask you that what type of fruit is an orange? What type of fruit? So the type of food is, you can put this one as the type of food. So is Espiridium. That is the type of fruit. It's called Espiridium. Espiridium. This is E. You know, I used to tell you that you should be mindful of your spelling. Espiridium. That is the type of, if they ask you the type of. Then they can also ask you here, according to the past one that I gather here, state the main nutritional in what? Nutrient in orange. I told you during the explanation of pineapple, it also contains vitamin C. So that is. Then how is the seed of the orange dispersed? That is taking dispersion, means taking the seed to another place and germinate there. So by animal. So it is animal that take the seed. So, or you call it zooshri. You call it zooshri. So this is the terminology used. Zoochogy, or you call it by animal. Either you say by animal or zoochogy. So this is the method, the dispersion method. That then no, they can also say name one adaptive of orange fruit for seed dispersion. That is juice. Animal take this juice from one place to another. So it will now germinate in, because it is very, very attractive. So that is what, by juicy, edible, fresh, attractive animal. So now let me now go to the egg, which is the next one. This is the specimens. G is the what? Is the so specimens G, we all know egg. So that one will not give us any problem. Even an average student can answer the specimen, identify specimen. We all know it's egg. So now, egg. Now the kingdom, if I ask you, is also animal because it's from animal. So I don't need anything. I don't need to repeat that one. For then, the what? The phallus. The phallus. So is also called chordata. For that. Then the class of, we all know that is what? If. That is the class. So that is what they can ask you. So animalia for the kingdom, then phallus is for chordata, then class is if. Then you can just read something about the content, like it contains the what? The yolk, the what? The abdomen and other. It also contains shell and chalata inside the. But let me now still further stress on this, that under the particular, so we can also ask this under it, that you should name the three main parts of the egg. Everybody should know that one. And the shell, it contains shell, it contains abdomen and yolk. How do you recognize it? You see, the white one is called abdomen, the yolk is the yellow one. You see, the yolk is the yellow one. So now, then they can also ask you, which is the question, it's not they can, it's what they set past WAEC. What is the function of the yolk? What is the function? It provides nutrient to the developing embryo. So it contains nutrient to fill the what? Embryo, for the embryo to germinate. So then they can also say which part of the egg is protein rich. That the one that contains protein. The one that contains protein is abdomen. Abdomen contains, which is that white you see when you break egg. There's a yellow one called yolk, and there's a white one that called abdomen. Is the one that contains the huge amount of protein in the egg. Now they can also ask you what class of animal produce egg like this, apes, or we call it bell. Is that taking that contain? And it can also form. They can also ask what is the product of this particular, is from the bell. They can ask you the product you see here, which is the egg, is from which animal? Bell as well. So now they can ask you to state the function of the egg shell. Now we all know that is protection. It's for protection. Then protection and prevention of water loss inside the what? Inside the egg. So it protects the water loss inside the egg. So now the other one is which I will also talk about is test tube. I will remove test tube. Test tube is for the next what? For the next video. So I believe I've answered this one. Then let's quickly go to this boiled egg, which I'm going to call it a day. Boiled egg. Now you all know the same feature. When I'm talking about kingdom, the same thing. Animalia, the phallus is the same thing, and class if. So now these are the questions they can ask under that boiled egg. Boiled one. These are the questions they can ask under boiled egg, which is peculiar to the one I've answered. Follow. They can ask you that name the visible part in the longitudinal section, which is called shell, abdomen, and yolk. So then they can also ask you which cause the egg to solidify when boiled, which causes that is what the naturation of the protein. The naturation of protein. Let me try to explain the naturation of protein. It really means that the breaking down of protein, destroying of protein. That is why it is not good to cook what? To cook anything proteinous too much. It will destroy the protein content of that particular, that is cooking beans, cooking any proteinous food. So now it will not make it to solidify. That is the answer. Which cause the egg to solidify when boiled is because of what? The desaturation of the protein. That's what causes it. Then number 3 here, which part store food for the embryo? Which part that store food? You know that one is called, they say, which part of the store food in the embryo, which have, if logically I've explained it, that yolk give this thing nutrient. So definitely it's yolk that store food for the what. Then number 4 here, which part surrounded by yolk? Which part surrounded by yolk? There is abdomen that surrounded by yolk, but it's the one that envelope. If you break egg, you see that one surrounded. So then, what is the biological importance of boiling an egg for study? When we boil, the question is that can you use raw one? No, because it will what? It will be broken and you cannot be able to handle it. So it's very simple for you to be able to handle. You can't say you want to study raw egg. When you break it, you cannot even separate it. But a boiled one, you can be able to say this is what, this is yolk, this is because it will make it to solidify. So definitely make the internal part clearly visible. You see it very well and safe to handle. So this is what I can say today. But now let me quickly label some parts that I promised to label here. I will label some parts, which is cool feather. So it can be something like this, which I've already explained something like that before. The feather can be like this. So where we have, we are asked to draw it. So which I've already explained, I said we call it shaft or ranching. Either you call it shaft or ranching, it's the same thing. So this part I told you earlier on is called barbs, and this is what we call wheel, and we can call this light part here, we call it notch, and this top is called feather tip. I think I've explained then we can, let me even draw the pineapple, the transferred, let me just draw these two in case you are asked to do so. But I am not supposed to draw this one because you can check your biology and work more. So then we call this one leaf brat. This part is called shell, and this is what we call core. And this part to this part is called vascular bundle. So now, here I will solve my lecture today. So, by special grace of God, go back to this particular YouTube or TikTok, you will learn more about the part B. Then after that, I promise this week, pieces practical will going to be demonstrated. So, I want you to go back to this page, the comment, share, and like. Thank you.